Hi everyone, it's Adam here at Lowe Co. Welcome to this property market update for the Wellington market in November 2021 comparing to 12 months ago and 24 months ago. And in summary, after several months of suggesting that the data was indicating a slowing market, we finally have some reasonably firm evidence that prices have in fact stopped growing, and in fact in November they came backwards by a bit, and there is now way more choice out there for buyers. So good news for buyers. For sellers, perhaps the boom has come to an end. Let's look at the detail. So let's start with the median sale price. November 2021 median sale price of $962,500 compared to $790,000 in November 2020. Now look, that's still a big increase of 27%. But we compare it to last month in October, it's come down from $995,000 in October. Obviously in October that was a big jump up from pretty much all of the months earlier on in the year, and so you could say that still prices are much higher in November than they were earlier in the year. But I suggest that perhaps because this is the median sale price, it is actually influenced by the mix of properties being sold. And over the last few months in particular, we have seen first home buyers getting really hampered by worsening finance conditions, and so the activity of first home buyers in the market has reduced significantly, and the same can be said for investors, which have had a significant impact from tax changes recently and also other compliance costs, healthy homes, etc. So the investors and the first home buyers have significantly pulled back in the market, and typically they are buying cheaper properties. And so the fact that the median prices are higher in the last couple of months than throughout the rest of the year is partly not necessarily because of values underlying values increasing, but because the cheaper properties are selling. They are selling fewer cheaper properties because of the investors and first home buyers being squeezed by these regulatory and finance requirements. So if we look now at the Real Estate Institute House Price Index, and this in my opinion is a better reflection of underlying values, you can see here that actually in Wellington region, prices in November came backwards. 1.5% backwards to be precise, and 1.5%, not necessarily a huge amount, and this is it's possible that it's just a blip in the market, but it's the best guide we've got, and it's the first time we have seen this for a very long time indeed. So across the Wellington region, 1.5% back, Pororua City, 0.5% back, Upper Hutt City, 0.3% back, Lower Hutt 3% down in the month of October, and Wellington City 2.2% down in the month of November. And so again, you can see this is consistent across all regions in the Wellington, all areas in the Wellington region. It's not just perhaps so therefore it's quite consistent. And if you compare it to New Zealand, Wellington is underperforming compared to New Zealand. Compare it to Auckland, compare it to other locations outside of Auckland, it is underperforming. So there's no question, this is a reasonably common theme here. Wellington, the market is weaker compared to the rest of the country, and indeed in November it appears it has gone backwards by a little bit. Even if you could look at the last 3 months, the Wellington region only grown by slightly more than 1% in the last 3 months. So there's no question, yes, the price rises are significant in the last 12 months, but in the last month, the month of November, it does appear values have come back a little bit. And if you look at this graph showing the house price index growth, the blue line being the 1 monthly result and the orange line being the 3 monthly result, since early this year, the monthly result has been pretty low, between 0.5% and 2%, bumbling around there. And then in November, you can see it's actually gone negative for the first time, I suspect for the first time since I started capturing this data in early 2015. So interesting times indeed, perhaps good news at last for buyers, not so good for the sellers, but let's not forget the fact that you've had an absolutely incredible run for the last 6 years, so let's not get too obsessed with a 1.5% decrease. The doubling in prices or thereabouts over the last 6 months has certainly done you well. If we look now at the supply side of the equation, new listings monthly, pretty remarkable result for November. 1,100 listings came to the realestate.co website in 2021, in November 2021, versus 903 in the same month a year ago and 828 2 years ago. So that's a massive 22% more than we saw in last November, and a huge 32% more than the November before that. So this is a huge increase in the amount of supply coming to the market in Wellington. And if you look there across the blue bar chart, you can see that that really is a standout result for the last month in November. And in fact, since I've started collecting this data in March 2015, it is the largest number of new listings that have come to the market in a month in Wellington ever since March 2015. So no question about it, we have seen big increases in the numbers of new listings coming to the market over the last few months. This is great news for those of you who are out there looking to buy. It means you've got a much greater choice than you have seen for a long, long time. On the number of sales side of things, now remember, this can be a proxy for demand, but in the past it has been limited by the amount of choice available. And that will always be the case, of course. But in November this year, 842 sales versus 871 sales in November a year ago and 808 2 years ago. So this is fairly similar to both of the Novembers in last year and the year before. So, but when you bear in mind that we have seen much more listings come to market, so there's been more available to purchase, more available to sell, yet no more has sold. So as a result, you would expect to see the number of listings on the market swell, and that indeed has been the case. So just to reiterate, we've seen much more come to the market over the last few months on the supply side, but we have not seen a corresponding increase in the number of properties being sold. So how long is it taking to sell property in Wellington? In summary, a little bit longer. 32 days in November 2021 versus 28 days the same month a year ago and 29 days 2 years ago. So 4 days longer than a year ago and 3 days longer than 2 years ago. And indeed, if you look there at the red line, that's the 6-month moving average, you can see after a big dip there, sort of coming out of lockdown and into late 2020, and from then it's gradually been increasing and taking a little longer since then as the market becomes less constrained in terms of the amount of supply out there, and indicators have been moving towards a loosening of the market. In terms of amount of inventory and the number of weeks worth of supply, it's still low at 7 weeks in November versus 6 a year ago and 7 2 years ago. So yeah, for the last 3 months we've seen 7 weeks worth of inventory. Prior to that we had 5 months at 5 weeks, and before that 3 months at 6 or 7 weeks. So look, we're still undersupplied, and the long-term average in Wellington is 15 weeks. So on that basis, still undersupplied, but I would expect, given what we've seen on the new listings front, increasing significantly without a corresponding increase in the number of sales taking place, we will start to see this inventory figure start to increase. And here, if we look at the Trade Me listings in Wellington, we are seeing another dramatic picture here. 1,765 listings as of a few days ago when I record this, 1,765 versus 1,035 in December 2020 and 1,097 in December 2019. So this is a massive 71% increase compared to a year ago. So in the last 12 months alone, we have seen 71% more stock on the market today in December versus a year ago. This is a massive, massive change, and that change has been quite dramatic, quite quick over the last 3 months or so. So this is fantastic news for those of you trying to buy out there. There is much more choice available to you now. So in summary, folks, prices have fallen slightly during November. New listings are up significantly versus 2020 and 2019, those months being November. That is the highest number of new listings in a month since March 2015. Fantastic news for buyers. Finally, you're starting to see a lot of new stock come to the market. Unfortunately, it's coming at a time where it's getting a whole lot harder to raise the finance. Sales volumes are flat compared to the same month last year and the year before. Duration to sell is taking a little bit longer. Inventory levels are low but higher than the extreme lows seen earlier in the year. And website listings up a massive 71% versus a year ago. So overall, prices down slightly and other indicators are all pointing to the market continuing to slow. Hope that's useful. This is the last time we'll do one of these this year, obviously. Hope you all have a Merry Christmas. The first market update we will do in 2022, it will be for the month of January. That'll be in February. Until then, happy holidays. If you need any advice on your property, just sing out. It's Adam here at Lowe Co. Thanks and take care.